You're up in the the compound, and we have to very carefully get our connections put through.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
When the Amish start peddling, then we have power. And when they stop peddling, then we're in trouble.
That is a problem. I'm glad to have you on the show, though. It's
great to be here. Hey, sounding great, and congratulations on the new show. We're really, really happy and loved listening to you yesterday. It was a great inaugural voyage.
Well, Randy, thank you for saying that. And, I pointed this out the other day to somebody that years ago when I came to FM News Talk 97.1 to meet with Jeff Allen to see if I could fill in doing some news or something like that, he said, have you ever considered trying talk radio? And I'm like, oh no, I don't know what I do for all those hours. And he goes, well, why don't you try filling in for Randy Tobler one morning? And I brought a stack of papers in about a foot thick because I was scared to death that I would run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, and the rest is history. And you've had a great run already in middays, and now bringing it to the morning show. Well, so it's fantastic.
You're kind. Randy, you and I talk about common sense things all the time when I'm on your show, when you're on here. This Greitens case, I was mentioning it to Denise and Tricia earlier. If you read the articles that are out today about the $100,000 in cash that was randomly, anonymously delivered to the attorney of the chief accuser on the day the story first aired on local television, it raises so many additional questions. I don't know how this thing moves forward in court.
Yeah, and I don't know what what's expected in terms of propriety, in the law, and what the bar would expect an attorney who gets seemingly a random big, load of money, what they're supposed to do with that, whether they need to investigate it, swear off of it, call in the cops. I don't know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to randomly deliver $100,000 in cash to my business. Mm-hmm. I would think not only ethically, but legally, you'd want to be really careful about taking that to the bank and depositing it because you don't know where it came from.
That's what I'm thinking. And you probably, experienced that once or twice when you were a member of the Wildwood Council, after all. Cause that's
of course.
But I don't know. It's just so random. And you wonder if this really lends credence to the whole story, that this hunt on Eric Greitens, which parallels what's going on at our national level with our president, it has to be at least supported by someone in very high position with widely connected and very well financed, motives. Let's just put it that way.
Well, you and I talked about it a little bit Saturday, and I appreciate you having me on your show to promote this whole thing. But I don't condone or any of these actions by the governor prior to him becoming governor, the adulterous affair, any of that. But to me, it's not about that at this point. To me, this just adds fuel to the fire, as you just referred to, that this is a concentrated effort to remove Eric Greitens from office.
That's right. And just like the president, he has enemies on both sides of the political aisle. And they are unleashing. Boy, they make Rocket Man in North Korea look like he's shooting a pop gun in terms of the weapons that have been pulled out, both politically and now it appears financially, to get this guy out of office.
It's pretty stunning. I don't know where that's going to go. I know that I think twice a week. I think they meet again maybe on Thursday with this judge about this case. I think Judge Burleson, and I've known him as an individual for a long time because he used to work for Jay Nixon when Nixon was the Attorney General. I don't know how you even let a case like this go forward and don't just throw the whole thing out.
Well, it's difficult. I mean, one of the lead prosecutors that Kim Gardner hired, of course, had a major conflict of interest, having been involved previously in a way that should make him ineligible for being part of that team. We see Josh Hawley late in the hour, politically speaking, but early in the campaign for him, resurrecting a problem that everyone knew about before in terms of the campaign donor list. So it's a fascinating thing. And like you said earlier in the previous segment, this makes 50 Shades of Grey look like a comic book, doesn't it?
Yeah, well said. Boy, that's the truth. That is the truth. Hey, I have to talk. I have to get your reaction to this because I've been looking forward to it all morning. There is nothing that the left in this country won't do to try to buy a vote. And nothing Bernie Sanders does should surprise us. But did you hear that he's now floating a job like a chicken in every pot? He wants to guarantee a job for every American at the taxpayer expense. They'll give you at least a $15 an hour job and full benefits for any American who's unemployed who wants a job.
Well, you see, Bernie wants to have it both ways because he can either go with the typical Democratic, liberal, progressive playbook of the past few decades, which is make your job jumping through whatever hoops you need to do to receive disability that you're not really eligible for in common sense terms, or stand in line and do some kind of a faux search for a job if you're getting unemployment. Or you can create a job and do make work by creating a bureaucratic job or some other kind of non-productive, steal capital from the private sector kind of a job. So he can either have it the socialist way, which this is related, of course, to, a universal income. It's along that thread.
Right.
Or you can just, put what we have currently in terms of the ever-expanding welfare state on steroids. Either way, it's a big air finger quotes here, job.
Well, and he pointed this out, which directly affects your industry as a physician, that he feels like when he first floated a Medicare for Everybody plan, he was the only sponsor. And the last time he floated it and introduced it, he had 16 co-sponsors. He's arguing that is moving into as a mainstream idea now in this country.
Yeah, if we get Medicare for everyone, that number of Medicare bankruptcy in 2027, well, actually, it's a combination of the two biggest entitlements, Medicare and Medicaid, and then, of course, Social Security. So federally funded insurance and Social Security together will, those debts as of 2027 would, on current trajectory, with not everyone in the country getting Medicare, would consume all of the national GDP by 2027. We talked with someone from Heritage on that, Adam Michael, on Saturday. So now put everyone on Medicare, everyone. And look what happens. Without the curbs that go with insurance, as much as we have our disdain for insurance, they do try to keep an eye on unneeded and unnecessary medical care, and in many cases help curb unnecessary expenditures. Medicare means very little out of the pocket for recipients, which again doesn't encourage great behavior and medical propriety. And you'd just see, I think that number would be moved closer to 2020. We'd be within a couple of years of national bankruptcy if we follow Bernie's plans.
We become Greece. I watched the Fox News interview Sunday with President Macron, who's in Washington today. He lives in a European socialist democracy, and he's starting to fight back a little bit. He's tried to reduce their wealth tax. He's trying to make French people realize that the answer to every question isn't just throwing more money at it. They've got to have some fiscal controls. We try to have that argument in this country. It seems to get us nowhere, even though we have examples all over the globe of where that approach has failed and is leading to us being like Greece in 10 years.
Yeah, look, I think the President Macron would take great heed by looking at history. The first French Revolution occurred for all the right reasons, but failed. But after they now have an example of how to do a proper revolution and how to craft a proper decentralized constitutional government, he would be well informed to look over his shoulder at history, because France and the rest of Europe is heading to the tyranny and to the bankruptcy that led to the American Revolution. And now the French people have an example which to follow. So watch out, President Macron.
Yeah, no kidding. And now we have Bernie trying to lead us down the same path. Wow. Yeah. Hey, Dr. Randy Tobler, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Always enjoy it, man.
You bet. The Randy Tobler Show every Saturday right here on FM News Talk 97.1 from 6 to 9 a.m. Don't miss it. Must listen to radio on your Saturday morning. All right, quick break. 314-241-9797.